I'm Minnie Roh. North Korea is one of the most oppressed countries in the world. Several thousand try to escape every year, but those who are caught face severe punishment, possibly even death. But some do make it to freedom, and it may surprise you to know that close to 200 have even settled right here in the United States. This is North Korea. Soldiers moving with military precision, proudly displaying their cache of weapons as their beloved leader looks on. And this is also North Korea. Defectors who escaped to the Western world speak of deplorable, inhumane conditions in prison camps and torture at the hands of vicious guards. It may sound like a scene out of a horror movie, but this young defector says it's all true.
For 3 days, they tortured me. I was forced to wear thick padded clothes in sweltering heat, and they left me tied outside to a post. When I asked for water, they refused. The guards could see that I was sweating so much that my clothes were caked with salt from my sweat. But instead of giving me water, they would just open up the faucet and force me to watch the water pour out.
Jo Jin-ae was 19 years old when she was captured in Inner Mongolia by Chinese police who were cracking down on North Korean defectors. She and a pastor were leading a group of North Koreans out of the country. Jo was sent back to a North Korean prison where she claims guards tortured her to extract information about her compatriots who had evaded capture.
A guard came to my cell. He told me to take off my shoes, and then he would step repeatedly on the back of my heel with no mercy. And he would pull my hair in clumps until my hair was all over the floor.
In between the beatings, she describes being holed up in a cell room less than 200 square feet with close to 100 other people.
We were stacked up like folding chairs. You can't spread your legs, you can't move.
Bugs, rodents, infection was rampant. And without adequate food and water, she was slowly starving to death.
They take out all the good rice, and whatever was left behind, twigs, rat dung, rabbit dung, they steam that and give it to us to eat. For soup, they took dirty water they used to wash their hands and feet, dig up a cabbage from the fields, shake off the dirt, throw it in the water, and pour salt into it.
After enduring these conditions for months, she reached the end of her rope.
We would try to kill ourselves. We used to try to break off and swallow pieces from plastic spoons. But you only choke, you don't die.
Just when she had given up, hope arrived in the form of $10,000. The pastor with whom she had been working evaded capture and bribed the guards in exchange for her freedom. As a devout Christian, she realized that she had been handed a second chance at life. And she realized that her guards were also victims like her. They were just trying to survive in a brutal regime.
There were 6 guards who took the bribe and let us go. I later heard that they were all captured and either sentenced to death or imprisoned for life. In a way, I feel very sorry towards them.
According to a report by the United Nations Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights, there are about 80 to 120,000 prisoners in camps across North Korea. Last September, Secretary of State John Kerry addressed the UN in an effort to bring attention to their plight.
We have networks of partners that we work with there to help them to actually safely escape out of China through a sort of modern-day underground railroad.
Hannah Song is the CEO of Liberty in North Korea, or LINK, a California-based grassroots support group that started in 2004.
Our organization began really as a response to the fact that most people didn't know anything about North Korea. And it was Korean Americans, young students, who wanted to sort of create this movement of awareness and really action to support North Korean defectors and really being a part of trying to find positive changes.
To date, there are about 27,000 defectors living in South Korea. In the United States, about 170 North Koreans have settled here after this country opened its doors to asylum seekers in 2006.
they play this metaphorical bridge back into the country. As they resettle and they're able to save money, they get back in touch with their families through those illegal Chinese cell phones that are smuggled into the border. They tell them about the outside world, and they're even sending money through these sort of underground networks.
In the early days of defection, it was mostly for political reasons. North Korea's founding father, Kim Il-sung, ruled the country with an iron fist, and even the slightest infraction could subject not just the person, but their children and their children's children to a life of imprisonment. Then in the mid-1990s, following Kim's death and the rise of his son, Kim Jong-il, the country suffered an immense famine when millions died.
As a result of the famine, when you had the largest majority of North Koreans leaving the country, their reasons were primarily for economic reasons. There was no food, or there are even individuals who talk about not intending to leave and defect, but because of something that happened, they had no choice and were not able to return and go back.
Many crossed the border into China at the Duman River, searching for food. But the threat of capture by Chinese guards, deportation back to North Korea, and the subsequent harm to loved ones was a powerful motivator to make many North Koreans stay put.
When we talk on the phone with fellow North Koreans and we tell them about the good life here, they get angry at us and say, "Stop telling us this." Why? Because they say it makes them want to come. And this can mean death, not just for my family, but for my in-laws, my father's relatives, my uncle's relatives. How can I risk that just to get a better life for myself?
After Jo was set free from the prison camp, she spent 2 years in China at the United Nations Refugee Agency waiting for an American visa. For her, moving to the United States was an easy choice. Most of her family is dead, except her mother and a younger sister who escaped with her. In 2008, they moved to Virginia and thought their dreams had come true. But life in the free world came with its own set of challenges.
3년 동안은
For about 3 years, I was just surviving. I was just putting out fires, bank notices, cell phones, bills that would arrive, but I couldn't read it because it was in English and I would get fines upon fines. Tickets on cards that I didn't know how to pay. It was really a very difficult and terrible few years. Some months, I would pay my rent and have exactly $10 left to my name. Yet, when I think about my days in North Korea, I would say, no, I am rich.
These days, she helps other North Korean defectors adjust to their freedom and speaks publicly about her past life to raise awareness for prisoners still in captivity. She does not want to talk about Kim Jong-un, the third-generation leader of North Korea and his current regime. The only political statement she makes is to say that during the years her country received Western humanitarian aid following the famine, ironically, life was harder for her fellow countrymen.
If you don't send aid to the North Koreans, the regime will surely get weaker, and then the people will rise up and become stronger because, in the end, they have nothing to lose.
Jo Jin-ae is not alone in speaking out about the horrors of North Korea. There are other defectors in the United States who are also beginning to break the silence. I'm Minnie Roh for Asian American Life.